Good morning, family. Welcome back again to Karating. As you can see, today is another beautiful morning, and the whole Karating crew is on cleaning duty. That's my sister, and I'm with my assistants. I'm sure you'll see them in a minute or so, helping me get the house clean. Now, as the title suggests, today I'm going to talk about the issue of citizenship, especially in the context of folks who are moving back permanently to Kenya. A lot of folks have been asking me quite a few questions about how I got my US citizenship, what difference it makes, especially when you're thinking about moving back permanently, what dual citizenship also means, the potential risks, responsibilities, privileges, and things like that. And so people also asking whether or not it's possible to lose US citizenship, perhaps in the same way people lose green card, and what all of this means for returnees. So I'm going to address these questions, and in this particular video, I'm going to highlight about 5 things. Number one, I'll talk about my own personal journey, coming from Karating all the way to the US and acquiring citizenship, how I went about it, so that folks who are interested may also learn from my experience. I will describe just a few options or pathways for gaining US citizenship. There are many that I cannot pack in 10 minutes, but I'll highlight a few. And then I'll answer the questions I just posted earlier. And then number 4, I'm going to talk about my personal current dilemma with the issue of citizenship. And I've got quite a few that I'm still navigating. And so I'm hoping that somebody listening out there might also offer me some advice that would be helpful. And then in the end, I'm going to offer a few issues to consider, especially for those who are thinking about returning permanently back home. So regarding my journey, many of you already know that I'm a 100% village boy. However, I was not born in Kisumu. I was born and raised in an amazing city called Oyugis in southern Nyanza. And I went to Agorosare Primary School, and then high school I went to Kanyawanga Secondary, which is in Migori County. Now, when I finished high school, I was admitted to Maseno University. And to be honest with you, Maseno was not my first choice. In fact, I don't even think I included Maseno in the 4 choices. And the reason was, Maseno literally is inside of my village in Karating. And so a kid having been raised in the village, I did not want to go to a university in my backyard. But it turned out that this was literally the best thing that ever happened to me going through education in Kenya. In fact, all my education, the 4 years I spent in Maseno were the best of my years in school. We had such a fun time going through school that I would not have it any other way. Now, after I finished Maseno, I worked as a teacher in Kisumu for about 2 years. And then towards the end of the second year, my older brother who lives in Texas helped me secure admissions, grad school admissions into a university in Western Pennsylvania. And that's where I did my master's program. And I traveled on an F1 visa, which is a non-immigrant visa given to students who are simply planning to go to school and then come back. And so to get an F1 visa, you have to satisfy the consulate that you're simply going to school and you have the intention of coming back. Well, that can be complicated. So I spent 2 years in the master's program. And then again, towards the end of it, I applied for what they call OPT, which is optional practical training, something like that, which is paperwork that allows students, especially graduate students, to work for about a year after graduation, or work for 3 years if they're in STEM program. So I did that. And while doing my OPT, I applied for a PhD program in Virginia. And I made sure that I did the application early so that I didn't have any lapse in status. And by lapse in status, I mean you can lose status if you have not gotten the new status. So as soon as my OPT was finished, I enrolled into a PhD program in Virginia, which took me about 3 years. Towards the end of my 3rd year as a doc student, I applied for a job which I knew would sponsor a H-1B visa. Now, a H-1B visa is a specific type of work visa that allows qualified professionals to work in the US with minimal strings attached to it, except that you have to work for the particular employer that has sponsored you. So my work immediately sponsored me for an H-1B visa. I got it and then immediately applied for green card. Now, there are many, many pathways here, but my particular job, because I work for a non-profit organization, within that setup, I was allowed to apply for green card right away. So when I got my green card, I still had to wait for about 5 years before I was eligible to apply for US citizenship. And to get US citizenship in that condition, I had to satisfy a couple of conditions, including residency. So they had to make sure that I've lived for that long in the US, about 5 years, paid my taxes, had no criminal record, and a few other things. So this process took me quite a few years to move from F1 visa through graduate school to getting work, OPT, H1B, and all that. Quite a few years and a lot of money. This process can be very expensive. However, in the end, I was able to become a US citizen. Now, there are many, many paths. Besides coming through as a student and then into work and into citizenship, there are many pathways. And like I said, it's not possible to comprehensively explore all of these options in a single video. So I'll just highlight a few of the more common pathways. The first, of course, is work, where there are employers who are simply looking for foreign workers. They fill paperwork, whether it's J1, H1B, Green Card Direct, and all that. So there are many employers that do that folks explore. The second more common option is through marriage. If you get married to a US citizen, they can petition for you to become a resident and then become a citizen even sooner. The other option is also military, especially for students who live in the US. After staying in the US, I believe for 2 years in current status, the military often offers options that allow students to become citizen. In fact, one of my friends became a citizen within 4 months. It's one of the fastest I've seen out there. Folks can also apply for asylum, can also become citizen through family reunion, and even people who have exceptional skills can also get green card and residency. So like I said, this is not comprehensive. There's a ton of other options out there that I hope in the subsequent videos we'll probably get a chance to explore. Now, to answer the questions I posted above, question number one, what difference does it make to go as far as getting a US citizenship? Because you can actually just become a green card holder for the rest of your life without ever becoming a citizen. And many folks I know that do that. But there are three observable differences. One, you can vote, you can have a US passport, and then you can live abroad for as long as you want. On a green card, you cannot live outside the US for 6 months, except in very limited circumstances where you are given a waiver. So those are the three key benefits of moving as far as getting a US citizenship. And then as a dual citizen, it basically simply means you get the best of both worlds, but it also comes with responsibility on both ends, especially around taxes. So some of the potential challenges of maintaining US and Kenyan citizenship, of course, starts with taxes, where I have to file my US taxes and I also have to file taxes with KRA every year, regardless of where I live. Now, those who do not have KRA pins, I think can get away with having to file Kenyan taxes. I'm not sure, but that's what I think it is. Now, the other potential challenge with maintaining US citizenship is that besides the financial obligations, there are some countries where it's actually risky to travel on a US passport because they might think you're a spy and things like that. So that can be a problem. So then the question about whether or not you can lose your citizenship. The short answer is yes, you can still lose your US citizenship, but it is very difficult and rarely occurs. In fact, the few cases that I've seen are cases where somebody has done something that is very significant that maybe makes them a target to the government. And then they check your records and they find that this particular individual must have lied in the application. In that case, they can actually yank away your citizenship. So this can happen, but it's really rare. I also saw another case, I think the guy was Somalia, who may have participated in some kind of, genocide or things like that. So if you lie in your application and then you come to the attention of the authorities, you can lose your citizenship, but it's very rare. So what does all of this mean for returnees, especially for people in my spot who are thinking about moving back permanently? For me personally, here are some of the dilemmas I have to navigate now, because I wonder whether I should keep it or I should give it up, because I can if I want to. There's a process to it where I file paperwork and I have to pay the government to give up my US citizenship. But if I give it up, what if I end up needing it at some point? I don't know what that might look like. And of course, my current US job requires legal status. So if I give up my US citizenship, then I cannot do the job that I'm doing right now. So those are some of the personal dilemmas that I'm still navigating right now as I'm transitioning back to Kenya. So overall, here are some things that I might recommend for folks navigating the same issue. Number one, I think of dual citizenship as sort of like a form of insurance. And so if you ever needed an option besides Kenya, you still have it. And then if taxes is one of your main concerns, then think about how much time you spend outside of the US. I believe if you spend a significant amount of time outside the US, then your tax obligations might be minimized. I could be wrong on that, but we'll check on it later on. And then, of course, the issue of travel. It's very easy to travel on the US passport, crossing borders, or even when you're coming back to the US, the line is shorter. So I would still keep it for that reason. And then if you ever experience a medical emergency that cannot be addressed in Kenya right away, you simply need to buy a ticket and off you go, get treated. And then, of course, if you have family back in the US, because many of us who have lived in diaspora for years have family and friends, with your US passport, all you need is an air ticket and you're back. And so if you lose it or if you give it up, then it simply means you're going to have to start from scratch, which is something no one wants to do. So if you were to ask me with all this put together, I would still recommend keeping dual citizenship, even though the taxes part sucks, but it was worth it. Well, I hope this was informative. If it was, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next. Thank you.